I am going to discuss today how to use ChatGPT effectively, ethically, and intentionally in your educational endeavors and throughout your life in general. ChatGPT needs no introduction, but I'll still go kind of over the basics of what ChatGPT is. It is a language and communications model that responds to inputs with products of multiple data types. It can do tables, it can do paragraphs, it can do poems, it can do fiction, nonfiction, code, etc. And the reason that it's been able to respond in these many, many data types and formats is that it's been exposed to a large number of texts and data types for years and years. And it models syntax and semantics of its responses of hundreds of interchanges that have been provided to it by human actors, one who's been acting as a human user and one who's been acting as ChatGPT as they want it to behave. And so it takes data, it doesn't really understand everything that's being input to it, but it takes what signals it can find, and it gives what users want, what it thinks users want to have. It also incorporates data from its interactions with outside users, with you and me, people who use it regularly. It takes those interactions and it incorporates it into its model. So the responses it gives you will be not as good as it gives people, in a week or even in the next day. There have been several major concerns about ChatGPT. The major categories of concerns include ethical concerns, academic concerns, usability concerns, and there are other issues and concerns that have been brought up, but these are the major points of fear or trepidation that educators and professionals have. In ethical and professional concerns, there are fears of plagiarism, about potential biases that are in the model, about privacy and data dissemination issues. People are concerned that those who use ChatGPT will have their personal data given to other people, or the data that they provide from their research will be provided to other people. There are also concerns about changes to job descriptions, task completion, job expectations. There are those who are worried that their jobs will become obsolete if ChatGPT is incorporated into their workflow. There are even some companies who have tentatively made major changes or even fired some workers because of this. But by and large, these fears are either groundless or can be easily avoided. You wouldn't give your personal information or your private data to friends or to others willy-nilly. So you should probably not put it into a program unless you know what you're doing and you want it to do a certain thing with it. ChatGPT should mainly be used for templates and for ideas, rough drafts of things. Academic concerns are mostly what we think of in the academic world: student plagiarism, student use of ChatGPT for easy completion of assignments, which would bring about a lack of verified or validated learning. Student plagiarism is a major concern of some educators. They fear that students will take copyrighted material, ask ChatGPT to plagiarize it or to paraphrase it more specifically, and then they'll take that paraphrase and submit it as their own work. That is definitely an issue, but luckily for us, you can detect AI written and generated content pretty easily, even without an AI content detector like GPT-0 or Zero GPT or any of the other detectors. And second of all, use of an AI does not automatically mean that there's plagiarism or copyright violations going on. It could be a clue, especially if the content generated by the AI is significantly different than the ones that have been generated and produced by the student on their own in the past. But simple use of ChatGPT should not be completely discouraged as long as students are using it correctly. And that's what we're going to examine today. The increase in the digital divide is a fear that students who have access to technology and know how to use technology are going to have a significant advantage over those who don't. And lack of access to this technology will only further this divide. Therefore, people who don't use or learn to use or have the ability to learn to use ChatGPT will be put at a significant disadvantage in the educational sphere and also in the academic, private, and public sectors. The other category of issues or concerns with ChatGPT are usability and form. In the past, ChatGPT was more arbitrary and it would provide selective responses or a lack of response to prompts. That has been significantly improved upon since their beginnings in November 2022. And even with ChatGPT 4, which was issued on March 15th or 16th, that was a significantly smaller issue with GPT-4. GPT-4 also has a repetition of certain phrases, or GPT-3, excuse me, has a repetition of certain phrases. GPT-4 has abilities to control for that and prevent that and be more creative and diverse in its responses through use of temperature and top P prompts and controls, as well as presence and frequency penalties. That's a little technical for our purposes right now, but there are ways to combat these and prevent these if you know how again, to use it correctly. There is some occasional incorrectness, but that requires human correction, which it should be present anyway in the creative process. You should be manipulating what you receive from ChatGPT. And there's also a lack of connection to outside resources or other technology, but that also is being remedied. ChatGPT-4 can access the internet, can provide links several times. It's even surpassed Bing when I've asked for links, and it's given more accurate and more academic links than Bing has. And these issues are constantly being addressed and mitigated. So let's take a look at what exactly you can do with GPT-4 and ChatGPT. Let's go to the default 3.5. This is called prompt engineering, and prompt engineering occurs when an AI user, such as myself or such as you, deliberately creates a prompt that will most likely yield what they're looking for in the most accurate way possible. It will require the least amount of prompts possible to get the ball rolling. And from that, once you get a significantly close response to what you're looking for, you can iterate, or you can ask it to change things or improve things or alter things or put it in a different format. There are many different prompts. The three main prompts that we're going to look at are text generation prompts, text analysis prompts, and asking ChatGPT to be its own prompt generator or its own prompt engineer. So the first type of prompt is the text generation prompt. You give specific instructions and it follows those to the letter. A prompt includes three main things: a task, which is something it should generate, instructions or steps that should be followed to complete the task, and a role, potentially, the perspective, background, and context followed by the text generator. So for example, generate a 5-sentence description of whaling. Take a completely academic tone, that would be the instructions, and cite your sources. Make sure they are existent or real, and take the tone role of a graduate professor. So we can take this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it gave me 7 sentences, but not too long. It's not exactly what we're looking for, but it did cite its sources. So the next thing you do is you verify those sources. And that's correct. And that's correct. So there you have it. There's a basic rundown of ChatGPT, how to use it, and the issues and potential concerns of ChatGPT, and how you can use these prompts and these tactics to make sure that you are getting accurate, effective information and preventing copyright infringement.